on page 5 of your workbook. So in this section, what we're going to do is reflect on some moments of resilience. We are going to tap into our individual strengths and our collective strengths. And then at the very end, there'll be an opportunity to create a resilience and action plan. So let's get started with first kind of a definition. So we all have common ground here. When we talk about resilience, what are we talking about? So I came up with this. It's our ability to face and to cope with adversity, to adapt to change, to recover and learn from our setbacks. And we are most resilient when there is coherence in our full self. And that means our physical self, emotional, spiritual, and mental. So I want to take a moment and dive into what each of these domains mean. And that is on page 5 of your workbook. So mindful. When we're talking about, we'll start with the mental or mindful. That's being mindful of what you say to yourself. What is your self-talk all about? What are your limiting beliefs? Because knowing that our thoughts become things is a pretty powerful thing to know. But also when we problem solve and when we challenge ourselves, we are increasing our resilience mentally. And I want you guys to remember this: what we think about, we bring about. Maybe you've heard that. Or thoughts become things. That's all that mental part of us. It's so powerful in resilience. Now, the physical sense. That's just taking care of our body. Nutrition, diet, exercise, maybe getting enough sleep. Those are all the physical realms. And what about emotion? That's where we have emotional awareness. And this is all explained in a little more detail, but it's our ability to self-regulate. So I don't know if you know this, but you probably know it intuitively. When we are stressed or fearful or anxious, if we can shift with intention our focus onto something we're grateful for or something that makes us feel good, that emotional shift can actually help lower our heart rate and decrease the negative effects of stress. Let's talk about that last realm of spirituality. We can nourish our spirit in so many ways, just engaging in activities that we enjoy, like taking a walk in nature, or painting, or playing music, or listening to music. And then there's meditation and yoga, mindfulness activities. And they've shown that these mindfulness activities can help us cope with stress. So depression, anxiety, chronic pain, it can help with all of that. So as we do this next exercise, I want you to keep in mind, how was I resilient emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically? So let's move into this next activity. I'm going to ask that you journal. So you're going to need your pen. We are on page 6 in your workbook. Here's what I want you to do. Think about a time in your life when you had to overcome some kind of obstacle, some kind of challenge or a setback. How did you overcome it? How did you bounce back? And then on the same worksheet on page 6, what strengths did you draw on to help you overcome this adversity? I will give you a very quick example. So in 2006, I had 8 years in recovery. I woke up in a trauma center with 80 staples in my back, broken ribs. I lost about 3 weeks of my life getting pulled out of a car with the jaws of life. Had no idea I would walk again. And I was on morphine, which was more terrifying to me than anything else. But I want to say I got lucky with Dr. Slucky, because he's the one that told me I had a choice. I could be disabled or I could get well. And that mindset, believing that I had a choice, believing that I could come back from this, changed everything for me. I weaned off the medication. I started exercising. I went back to work. And before I knew it, I was fully recovered. So what's your story? I'm going to give you a few minutes here to think about, journal out, what's your story of adversity? Are you ready? Let's go. Okay. Have all of you had a chance, I hope, to think about your resilience? Because here's what we're going to do next. We are going to share our stories of adversity. And you each have 1 minute. So what we need to do for this next activity is select a timekeeper that's going to keep us on track, because you each have 1 minute to share your story. We also need a note taker and a reporter. If you're not sharing your story, what I want you to do is really be listening for strengths, listens for the lessons learned, for the heart qualities and the themes that you're hearing. Then, after everyone shared their story, you're going to create a resilience affirmation. Now, why would I have you do this? Well, affirmations are powerful, positive statements, and they actually have the power to transform lives. And I use them with my peers in coaching. And this exercise is going to ask that you create a group affirmation. And you're going to pull on the words and the strengths that you heard. And I'm going to give you an example because it's not hard. This came from my actual doing this workshop. And here's ours. It is through our connections, adaptations, faith, and self-reflection that we persevered and triumphed. So I don't know what will come out of your group, but I want you to listen. Everyone share your story, narrow it down to 1 minute. Are you ready? Okay, let's break into these small groups. You have 15 minutes to get her done. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you had enough time to come up to share your stories and then to come up with an affirmation. I have a couple in the chat. Go ahead, reporter, and post your group's affirmation. Is there, before I start sharing, is there a volunteer to share your group's affirmation and maybe one minute story? Anybody want to share with me? Raise your virtual hand so Donella can recognize you. Oh, I see.
All right, Emma Esper, and then Deanna.
Okay. Unmute, Emma.
Oh, yes. Okay, I have to. There we go.
Sorry, I was typing in the chat our thing, but I'll go ahead and just say it. I can share a few, like some stories, but really when we were kind of all connecting, I was seeing this bigger picture, which is that we were all kind of moving through our journey to wellness, and something external outside of ourselves happened, like a trauma or a loss or something happened. And it really kind of put us, in the hot seat of like, well, how are we going to respond now? Are we going to revert backward? Or are we going to continue to stay in our lane of wellness and kind of the new narrative we have about ourselves? So we came up with a group affirmation of, in the face of hardships, I will stay connected to my strengths and stay true to my belief that I can be more.
Oh, did everybody hear that? I love that. Emma, if you would put that in the chat, that would be really helpful. And then I saw some more hands. Donella, can you recognize?
Yeah. Deanna is next. She needs to unmute.
So Deanna, share your group's affirmation.
Okay, our strength was affirmations of determination and faith. Like no matter what we go through, if we we be determined to do better and have faith in what's right, and we use determination to move forward with our lives.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Make sure that's put in the chat. Anyone else want to share? And then I'm going to read some from the chat. Know that you can download these. You can download our chat and keep them, because these affirmations are powerful. Someone else?
Yeah, Kimberly. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Hi. Okay, so my group's Affirmation is you can get through any adversity by overcoming uncertainty and fear by having a support system, healing of self, faith, and trusting the outcome. So in my group, really prevalent of, community, of getting that like support for the trauma and recovery that we were all experiencing, and that allowing us to really find more healing of this self, but also like taking that time to focus on ourselves as well, because we weren't able to do that with what we had been all kind of overcoming and managing, and just kind of taking that faith approach as well, in self, and through spiritual beliefs, and knowing that the outcome with all our effort is going to make a difference.
I love that. I hope, Kimberly, that you put that in the chat.
I did, yeah.
Boy, just hearing about this, the importance of support, the importance of connection, of belief in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And having faith. Anyone else before I start reading from the chat? Anyone else? There's some good ones in here. So here we go. You can get through any adversity by overcoming uncertainty and fear. Oh, this is from Kim. By having a support system, healing of self, faith, and trusting the outcome. It is by keeping our eye on the goal, knowing this is temporary, using our mental strength, and just keeping going that we overcome adversity. In the face of hardship, I will stay connected to my strengths and stay true to my belief that I can be more. Oh, I love that. By the way, someone is asking to show how to download the chat. So let's try to remember to do that for our folks. Here's another one. Well, Indiana shared determination that we can move forward despite obstacles and have faith. We persevered. Here's from C. Rodriguez. We persevered through self-compassion, action, and knowledge. Hope and determination will help us to overcome our struggles. And along the way, we will help others like this. I hope this is uplifting for you. Just hearing your stories and knowing that we can overcome. And now that we are grounded in both purpose and resilience, let's explore our very last topic for today, and that is self-care. Are you guys ready to move on? Okay. And thank you all for sharing with each other and with the larger group.